What is going on, Dallas Mavericks fans, MFFLs, all basketball fans in general? It's a Sunday, so I hope you guys had a great weekend. New week coming in. I hope that's also going to be a great one for you. As always, go ahead and subscribe, share, like, and comment down below. Let me know what your first impressions were of this team in the first summer league game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was you saw a lot of young guys get an opportunity for the first time. So, as always, like I said, I appreciate you guys. Let's go. First things first, of course, everyone wants to talk about the young guys. Derek Lively, that was the first look we got to see for the first overall pick for the Dallas Mavericks with the 12th pick, of course. A young guy also with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Cason Wallace. There's forever going to be some kind of pretty much a connection between those two players because they were traded for each other. The Dallas Mavericks, of course, had the opportunity to take a Cason Wallace, and the Oklahoma City Thunder take a guy like Derek Lively because we're going to swap the picks. So, like I said, yesterday there was one of those games where you finally got to see these young guys get an opportunity for the first time. Talking about it when Derek Lively and Max Prosper, they didn't really get to practice at all the entire summer league, the early practices in Dallas. So yesterday, the Thursday, I believe, was their first day of an actual real practice. We don't really even know what exactly these guys can give because, again, it's their first run with the actual team. Now, when you're looking at a guy also throwing in Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy had such a game yesterday. You could finally see he's adding up all the little small things that Jared Dudley had kind of been talking about the last couple weeks, that he wants to give Jaden Hardy just pretty much all the opportunities to lead his own show, get his 18 to 20 shots a game, but also be leading pretty much the pick and roll game. And we saw that many times yesterday. I believe the final score, Oklahoma City 91, Dallas Mavericks 80. There's a few things to take away from this game. More so because you're not even really sure who's going to be, I guess, just your guys that are actually going to be contributing in year one. You're looking at a Derek Lively. You're looking at Olivier Maxence Prosper out of Marquette. The number one thing you could see from both of those guys yesterday was their intensity, was the defensive edge that they bring. Derek Lively, for example, every time he left the court, you can see the drop-off in the team, pretty much communication. Reports have been coming out the last few days, pretty much, especially. He said, speaking himself, Derek Lively, that he wants to be pretty much that defensive leader, that guy that communicates, that gets everybody set. And you saw many examples of that in the game. He's communicating. You can hear him shouting out pretty much where people need to be. We're just keeping everybody pretty much on that chain. Max Prosper, you're watching him. He's hounding players. And number one thing, what I saw yesterday is kind of like the same thing I talked about before. He is a guy that you want to see how his offensive game is going to develop, because we see him yesterday ends the game with 7 points. Max Prosper ends the game with 7 points. He hits a three-pointer. What you want to see him is have that ability to be able to stretch the floor somewhat, because you're going to play with a guy like Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. If you're trying to get meaningful minutes alongside those guys, you're going to have to add something to the offensive game. We're also going to see, is he a guy that we're going to use more so to replace what we lost in Dorian Finney-Smith? We knew exactly what Dodo was, but he had kind of reached his peak. Can he be pretty much, I want to say, a better version of that? Because he is younger. He's going to pretty much be able to figure out this system way sooner than Dorian Finney-Smith was able to. So there were a few things to take away from yesterday, but at the end of the day, I want everybody to kind of keep their expectations tempered, because, again, we did see two young guys getting their first run. We did see a guy like Jaden Hardy now pretty much running his own show, which he kind of was in bits and pieces last summer league. He got a few opportunities. But if these are going to be the guys that we're looking to, the young guys, I want to say, they're going to be contributing to next year's Dallas Mavericks team, these are going to be meaningful minutes for them. A couple other guys that really impressed me, I guess, when you're going through pretty much what that game was yesterday. AJ Lawson, what I wanted to see more so from him was just him being able to show that he can stretch the field, or pretty much stretch the court with his jumper, just hitting open, knocking down open jumpers. But also, what I saw yesterday, AJ Lawson has added a little bit more to his game. He showed a little bit more off the dribble, attacking the rim a little bit in transition, things like that. Those are big things to add to your game, because, like I said, you don't want to have a team full of 3-and-D guys and that alone, because sometimes plays do break down. I don't care how talented as a Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving is, as both of those guys are. when a play breaks down, sometimes you need someone else that can pretty much attack and put pressure on that defense. That was big for me to see. You had another guy, Brandon Rudolph. We're talking about just young guys looking for their opportunity, showing some intensity, showing some just pretty much tenacity. Because yesterday, one thing you want to say, as many young guys as there were lots of pretty much stagnant moments on offense. When Jaden Hardy wasn't able to pretty much get his own shot or find something open for everyone else, there was a little bit of confusion. But again, we're talking about a team, pretty much a summer league team that has not really got to practice as one yet. So hopefully over these next couple of days, they can kind of start to get their feet, I guess, just more set when it comes to everyone understanding what the other is trying to give and what everybody else on the team can add to the rest of this summer league schedule. Yesterday's big. Like I said, you had a few guys. Like I said, you had your keys. Also, you had a guy like I want to say Mike Miles Jr. out of TCU. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys to keep an eye on because he could push a McKinley Wright off the roster. And I want to say that only because I feel like he has more to his game. He has more offensively, of course. And we're looking for a guy, if you're looking to develop someone to be another just ball handler pretty much on your team, I feel like a guy like McKinley Wright is going to have to expand his game. He's going to have to be more aggressive. At times you can see he gets very complacent, it seems. He gets stagnant a little bit. So what you did see from a guy like Mike Miles Jr. yesterday, he continued to attack. He continued to put pressure on the defense. That's going to be big when you're talking about a pretty much a wide open offense that a Jason Kidd likes to run. I want to say all across the board, pretty much, you did have some positive things to take out of this game. Like I said, one thing you can probably expect from these young guys on this upcoming team, if they're going to contribute at all, again, a Derek Lively and Olivier Maxence Prosper. Young guys like that. Again, two guys that we're expecting to give something in year one. Those are going to be guys that are going to bring you some defensive presence. That was huge to see because you can see just the flashes at certain times. But what you also are going to have to see a guy like Derek Lively get better at many times you saw. Again, we're talking about let's calm down for a moment because it's his first, again, professional time, I guess, in the league since being drafted. You want to see him clean up his screen setting a little bit, just because one thing you can say a guy like a Dwight Powell, he is a pretty good screener. And again, we're talking about the small things, knowing when to set the pick and when to engage and when to let go, disengage, because sometimes you would see a Derek Lively yesterday kind of start to go set a pick, but then maybe get out a little bit too early. And now your ball handler is having to try to figure out what exactly he can continue on with that play, because sometimes now the lane to the rim is not as open as it could be. You want to see him clean up things like that, but we're talking about a guy like Jared Dudley. You have a Tyson Chandler pretty much going to be floating around him to clean up a few things like that. You want to see an Olivier Maxence Prosper just continue to expand on his offensive game, because again, what you're going to expect is him to give those defensive minutes, those strong defensive effort. But you want to see, because again, sometimes there were a few times you saw guys kind of just ball handling it a little loose. But again, we're talking year one. You can't complain for some of these guys just to get their feet wet. But I want to say the future looks bright as of now. Again, we kind of very unsure about this front office overall. Now you do have a new guy, Nico Harrison, pretty much getting to put his stamp on things a little bit. But they're going to have to continue to build. They're going to have to continue to develop. That's the next step for this franchise help us get to where we're trying to go. Because, of course, you can't just put everything on a Kyrie Irving. You can't put everything on Luka Doncic. We're going to have some of these other guys pretty much chip in as much as they can. Real quick, let's take a look at the box score for both teams. The Dallas Mavericks' second Summer League game will be on Monday. I believe it's 7 o'clock Central against the Philadelphia 76ers. I know there were lots of people pretty much complaining. I was especially complaining about the playing time. We didn't see too many minutes out of a guy like Derek Lively. We didn't see too many minutes out of a guy like Max Prosper. And of course, that's what I wanted to see, especially because you want to get them as acclimated to the NBA. Again, we're talking about guys that are not really going to, a lot of these guys are not even going to be sniffing NBA court time, but semi-NBA game time. You want them to at least get as many minutes as they can, because this is the time to start ramping it up. But Jerry Dudley comes out after the game pretty much saying it was an organizational decision, because they were just pretty much getting started to practice. That was the first real practice they had the day earlier. So as the games go on, he said minutes are going to get higher by the last games. Of course, he's expecting them to be playing big minutes every single game. So that's good to hear. I'm sure that made a lot of people more comfortable. So, like I said, that's the next game 2 for the summer league team for the Dallas Mavericks will be again on Monday again at 7:00 against the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see exactly who's going to step up again, who's going to keep throwing their name in. I want to see AJ Lawson. Can he continue to be consistent and show a few of the same things that he did in the first game? Can a guy like Brandon Keys, another guy like Brandon Rudolph, can they continue to show things? Can a guy like Mike Miles Jr. Continue to show that he can, again, maybe push a guy like a McKinley Wright in training camp coming up pretty soon, and again in a few months. Now, Jaden Hardy, continue to show that you can take on more responsibility, more duties. That's exactly what we all want to see. As always, I appreciate you guys. Again, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and share, go ahead and like, comment down below what you believe is going to be. Again, I guess it's the Kickstarter for these young guys. Who do you believe is going to step up in game 2? Because we do need to see a little bit more consistency on the offensive end from a few guys. Hopefully they can do that. I appreciate you guys as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the upcoming week. And let's go. Go Mavs.